You're listening to the PAZNIA radio network.
Okay, let me see here. One moment, folks. Checking. Audio levels look actually pretty decent here. This is a first time I've ever streamed from outside here. So that's fine. Don't matter. But anyway, it looks like we're good on OBS, and all avenues are a go. Okay. All right, guys. Well, welcome to the Vonu Podcast Live, coming to you from VonuFest6 here at the Veritas node of the Free Republic of PAZNIA. My name is Shane, a.k.a. Rayo2, and let me tell you, it's been a hell of an event so far. This really kicked off, I guess, for us. When we returned from a different Freedom Gathering on Sunday evening, things kicked off here pretty much immediately, and yeah, it's been chaotic good, but it's been a hell of a week for sure. But for those that weren't able to attend, here's your digital taste of VonuFest, the premier gathering of self-liberation, streaming on YouTube, Odyssey, Rumble, somehow Twitch still, considering how much Thane says the N-word and talks about violence. But we're still on Twitch. I guess if you want to follow us over there for now, and also Entropy. Earlier you caught again Cloak and Dagger with Thane Riddle, which is live every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. Then an hour or so rebroadcast of an old Bill Cooper Hour of the Time episode on militias, and now the Vonu Podcast Live with a couple very special guests. And it's a very dynamic environment, so it is what it is. You're in the full live experience, folks. But many of you have heard my interviews with Sky Huddleston, Breakthrough Energy Pioneer. You may have also caught the only episode so far of Second Realm Speed Dating, featuring Sky and some 27-year-old mindless millennial. But today I'm sitting right next to the man himself, and I'm also told there are 2 more episodes of Second Realm Speed Dating forthcoming, so that is good news for everybody. And if you haven't experienced it, rest assured you'll definitely enjoy it. Also with me is his associate colleague Brady. Got questions? Drop them in any of the chats, and we'll try to work them in. And you can also give us some arrow if you want to. Just go to xmrchat.com/PAZNIA radio. And we'll read those messages on air if I remember to check, which is possible I might not. Anyway, Sky, welcome back to the Vonu Podcast, and welcome to VonuFest. How are you enjoying your time here so far?
Thus far, it's been pretty darned relaxing. That would be the most interesting word I could use to describe it. It's been a very relaxing event.
Yeah, well, that's good. Because I guess one of the first questions I had for you is how's it feel to relax? Because I don't think that happens very much for you, does it?
No, it does not. It's an interesting experience, actually. There's a lot of guilt. I should be working. I should be productive. Right? So I have to force myself via a little bit of a stoicism to realize that I'm not going back until Sunday. I need to relax. This is happening. It's going to happen. And I need to make the most of it. So.
Oh yeah, there you go. And if you notice a little pause between, we're kind of doing it the old getaway. I didn't want to get 2 microphones out and mic stands. That's too complicated. But anyway, Brady, you were able to make it to VonuFest last year, and it was great to have you then, and great to have you back. I guess could you introduce yourself a little bit, who you are and what you do, and how you and Sky kind of got involved in a little bit there.
Yeah, so, I don't know, Sky and we met on Discord, ages and ages ago, and I think it's been 7, 8, 9 years, something like that. We just started chatting, started talking back and forth about some of the engineering projects and stuff that he was wanting to do, and, I don't know, right around when all the COVIDiot nonsense kicked off, I left my home in the great state of Texas, now overrun with Californians, and I pretty much came up north and looking for a cooler climate, and eventually wound up, just hanging out next to Sky and become his sort of left-hand Mad Hatter, do whatever the hell he wants. That I specialize more in the sparking and the wire biting sort of things, and I can help check his math on some of the other stuff. And it's pretty much all we've been doing this whole time. So
cool, right on. And when we begin to wrap up, John, who's been, I think he was out of at a PAZNIA second home assembly at some point. Yeah, I think he was. At some point, I'll have him on the show to introduce himself again. And I guess, John, Hell, you're here right now. Why don't you go ahead and do that? And then you're also going to demo the Thumper, which is a cool little tool that our friend brought. But yeah, welcome back. And how's it going?
Oh, going pretty good. I just this is my third or fourth. Yeah, I always enjoy this time. It's always very relaxing, like Sky says, and it seems like every year just keeps going by faster. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, certainly. So yeah, I guess we'll get right into it here. So Sky, and the last time we talked, which I don't remember when it was, but the second time we talked, we went pretty deep into the Bourke engine, kind of some of those potentialities. But let's kind of just start with an overview, if you could. Give us an overview on the Bourke engine. Some of the, and maybe some of the backstory as to how you got set out onto this venture in the first place.
Yeah, sure. So I guess we could start off with the beginning, which is I became very interested in these alternative prime mover technologies because when I was younger, I couldn't really do anything, couldn't really go anywhere, didn't really have a lot of economic opportunities because the price of gasoline was always cost prohibitive to go do something, and not having a lot of money, you have to learn how to fix things. You become intimately familiar with why engines break, and you become sick of fixing engines because they break quite often. So I set out to build an engine that would be efficient, not gulp fuel, and would be crazy simple and easy to maintain, repair, and fix. Those are the two primary objectives. Make an engine that is, number one, very reliable, number two, easy to fix when it does break, and number three, is super fuel efficient so that it's cheap to operate. That's the primary objectives on the matter.
Yeah. So I guess the couple highlights here. What I think you've said, it takes like one part or one tool in 5 minutes. You can basically have the entire thing taken apart. But the other cool thing about it is, like you could put gas in it. You could just put like normal gas or diesel in it, but you can also use a lot more. You have a lot of options for the fuel sources. So I guess talk more about the advantages and kind of. You have a much bigger vision for it, though, in terms of like decentralizing large amounts of energy to like the individuals. Yeah, tell us a bit about about some of those advantages.
Well, I mean that's maybe long-term stuff, but I'll focus on what we can do short-term, which is we have a high degree of fuel versatility. Things like gasoline, kerosene, JP8, diesel fuel, they will all be able to be burned in this engine because they're being outfitted with catalytic ignition systems right now. So that offers a wide degree of fuel flexibility. There's no spark plugs, so there's no ignition timing, there's no advance, there's no retard, there's no breaker points, there's no magneto to go wrong, there's no wires to jump or arc or get chewed through, there's no contact points to corrode and fail, right? So eliminating the ignition system and replacing the spark ignition system with a catalytic ignition system greatly boosts our reliability and longevity, which is the number one reason why engines fail, is the ignition system.
Gotcha. And Brady, like obviously you've got your own specialties, but you've been helping Sky on this project. What are your thoughts on? I mean, you're familiar with. I think I've heard you talk about the P.A.Z.NIA, the P.A.Z.NIA motor and some of these other alternative energy possibilities. Breakthrough energy possibilities, but what are your thoughts on the Bourke engine generally with your knowledge and background?
Well, as a guy that was actually on board some of our nation's nuclear-powered submarines, I was taught a lot about basic engine theory and stuff like that. It's kind of how Sky and I started having our first many conversations, who knows how long ago. And the thing that's always really excited me is having had some clearance and access to some of the things not everybody else knows is one of the things that actually led me running far away from anything remotely considered official or state or government. And what I really like about the potentiality of this is the possibility for essentially anyone anywhere to power their home cheaper than most people can afford it at the grid, assuming standard American home 2.5 kilowatt hours, running 14.5 cents per kilowatt hour from the electric company. The reality of this is that if you're buying fuel for pretty much anything under like $5 a gallon, or refining it yourself, like some of the folks that live in or near cornfields, like so much of the U.S. does. You can make your own alcohol. You can pretty much anything that goes boom, like the old world diesel engines used to be able to do. They'll run on turpentine, alcohol, kerosene. So pretty much anything that does that. It's the power, it's the flexibility, it's being able to, based on some of our earlier math, like if the little egg-shaped cars that everyone makes one of, if you were to drop, some of the, basically like a 0.5 liter engine in these things, it would be not only possible to operate them, like most people need to use their cars, but also to be able to get around 200 miles per gallon. Off of that, which is an incredible cost savings. I mean, people just don't even really think about that. But more than that, it's also that, you don't have to drive it like a grandma either. You can, 0.5 liter engine based on our roughly, rough math from back then would actually yield a performance increase for a lot of vehicles. And there's so many things that it opens up. It's just, like Sky and I have said a number of times, it's really not about what we necessarily envision it for. It's the ability to produce cheap, affordable power that can go anywhere, allows for so many other people to do so many other possible things that we can't even possibly imagine or conceive of.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you're speaking my language as someone who works at a distillery. I'm very curious about the prospects. We talked a little bit about that this week, and prospects of using alcohol for fuel. But I guess a different alternative energy, solution or way to improve fuel efficiency that I brought up in our conversation this weekend was the Brown's gas add-on that George Wiseman has discussed, that he's offered for a long time. He's talked about where the claim is you can improve efficiency by 20% plus, depending upon what type of fuel source is, whether it's propane or gas or diesel or whatever. But I'm glad I asked you guys about it because you have a different viewpoint. Like I said, I guess kind of a different view on its worth, on its efficacy and worthwhileness. So I guess could you talk a little bit about Brown's gas add-ons and how they may not be the best to look at?
Well, I mean, ultimately, any system that's introducing hydrogen into the mix, however it does it, hydrogen is full of radicals, so it absolutely promotes a faster rate of flame front propagation, faster combustion, which is going to make the system relatively more isochoric, which is going to increase the efficiency. The hydrogen itself in this context isn't a fuel, but rather a reagent that accelerates the rate of combustion and flame front propagation. That being said, how much energy is being lost to produce it versus how much efficiency you'll gain from using it, that's up in the air. Only physical testing can determine that. When it comes to electrolysis, there's all sorts of things like arc gaps, whether or not you're using baking soda or some other accelerant in the water to form a solution. So many variables, right? Obviously, hydrogen radicals will allow you to boost the compression ratio, which will improve your efficiency, but then if you don't boost the compression ratio, you're leaving performance on the table. So, can it do these things? Maybe. Is it worth it? In my opinion, no, for whatever it's worth. I don't think the efficiency boost is enough to justify the headache and the complexity of going through the process of installing it. But then again, maybe my opinion isn't really holistic on the matter because I'm focused on the fundamental thermodynamic ignition system modeling and fundamental aspects of pure isochoric heat addition and isothermal expansion. We'll get to isothermal expansion in the future. For now, it's just normal adiabatic expansion. So, in any case, I'm a little off into the weeds on the fundamentals, and I'm not really looking at ancillary mechanisms to bolt on to the engine because I just want to make a better engine as a foundation, and then we can experiment with things like plasmatrons and fuel reformers and fuel polishers and HHO and whatever, right? Then we're just working on the foundational baseline for a good engine, foundation work. All this other stuff are ancillary accessories. I know one thing that is more promising than an HHO system, in my opinion, is the plasmatron that was developed by MIT, which is a plasma-based fuel reformation system. So it takes in the fuel, it subjects it to a plasmoidic field. There's been several ways experimented with. Some of them use a plasma arc, some of them use a plasma lens. I don't want to get too off into the woods, but the point of the matter is it breaks down the fuel endonically in situ as needed via a plasma fuel reformation system, and now you get shorter hydrocarbons and lots of hydrogen radicals going into your intake plenum, be it direct injection, port injected, or carbureted, or whatever. So that's going to boost your efficiency, and that's not my opinion. MIT reported 25% improvement in efficiency in 1999. So if you disagree with me, you're not disagreeing with me, take it up with MIT. That's their claim, not mine.
Gotcha. And what about you, Brady? You got any any thoughts on why the Browns gas add-on might not be advantageous, or I guess any thoughts you might have on it? I'm curious.
No, actually, I don't. I've never actually done it myself. I've only used HHO gas myself for some personal medical assistance, and I generally refer to Sky for pretty much anything I do before I get too crazy with an engine, unless it's some kind of bolt-ons for whatever it is I'm putting around in.
Gotcha. Okay. So Sky, I guess I know your focus is you got your Liberator Rocket Heater company, and then you've got the Bourke engine. But you mentioned this weekend that there are other engines that you might. No, you don't want to talk about that.
We're not talking about that yet. We still got
Oh.
to commercialize the Bourke engine first.
10-4. Okay.
Way too far in the future to talk about on the podcast.
10-4. Okay. Understood. So yeah, I guess how's the could you talk a little about how's the Liberator Rocket Heater business going? Selling a lot of them.
I don't know about a lot. We're selling a reasonable amount of them. I can't complain. Business is acceptable. We don't have to fire anyone. We don't have to lay anyone off. So long as we don't have to lay people off, I'm content with that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's good. That's good to hear, man. That is definitely good to hear. So, let me see here. So Brady, so you described yourself as this too, and Sky described you as this too, but you're more of an electrical guy. So could you talk a little bit about some insight into your expertise there, maybe some things you've worked on, and I guess some breakthrough energy projects that you've looked at that might be worthy of investigation, or any ideas like that?
Well, most of my electrical expertise has been developed just over the course of just being a hobbyist. I mostly worked on low voltage stuff. I was a ham radio. I think my license is still valid. Never really checked, but been tearing apart, working on computers and stuff like that, and pretty much all kinds of other anything that really struck my fancy or interest. I was an apprentice electrician for a while. Before I really realized that, they've got a whole, it takes like 8 to 10 years to actually become a full journeyman and actually be able to go wire people's stuff up, but I can still wire my own home up, all I want, and nothing actually matters, which, never really made a whole lot of sense to me. But yeah, I've, pretty much just sort of whatever the Sky has me doing or wants me to do. We talk about it. Sometimes I do it. Sometimes I negotiate with him to head towards something that I think will be better. But a lot of times it's just weird off-the-wall stuff. As far as the breakthrough energy stuff goes, when we went to ESTC that one time, the Bedini wheels, our friend John is, helped me out with, he had a smaller one that somebody built and was having some issues with. But yeah, I think that to the best of my knowledge, there's nothing, shy of discovering 0-point energy that's really going to give free energy. I could be wrong. Most of my knowledge is kind of sort of what they teach in the textbooks. So.
Yeah, interesting. So I talked about this with Sky last time, but in our endeavor to go off grid, we've got a 500-gallon propane tank. Which handles our stove and a lot of some of our our more intense heating needs and such. But when our trying to go off grid, propane is amazing. We can get propane fridges and stuff. And in terms of like dependency on somebody, you're not dependent like 24/7. Energy needs they just have to come around like once a year and fill it up if they have to come once a year at all. Might be every other year. So yeah, what are your thoughts on on propane? in terms like obviously it's not like the like I would love for like a that 0 point energy to be accessible. maybe and people talk some people talk about some downsides to that falling into the hands of just the average person, but I would love for that, but the more realistic thing might be propane. But yeah, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm definitely a fan of propane. I actually spent 3 years tooling around the United States in a schoolie, an RV converted school bus, and yeah, propane is excellent. It solves a lot of energy needs, and it fundamentally, stuff like propane and other hydrocarbon fuels, gasoline, diesel, they solve a lot of the problems that are people are starting to notice with things like electric cars, where you can fill up a propane tank in essentially no time flat. You can fill up a gas tank in a couple of minutes. Maybe if you get that one gas station way out in the boonies, it'll take you 10 or 15 minutes because they've got the pumps turned down for whatever reason. But it's great stuff. One of the ways I've explained a lot of stuff of using energy is if we consider divine nature as sort of our inspiration for it. The human body makes electricity. The human body makes hydrocarbons, which become fats and lipids. The ATP that everyone knows is burnt in the cells to actually power your muscles and everything that goes is essentially just a hydrocarbon chain with a couple of phosphate molecules on either end, I guess, to allow it to permeate the walls of the cell. I don't really know. I'm not a bio guy, but your fat is basically pure hydrocarbons, and the body makes electricity too, but it only uses electricity to signal, all across the body, and that probably has something to do with the fact that it travels at the speed of light. And I just say, hey, if we're trying to build a machine, let's build a machine that works somewhat similar to the electrical body. Use electricity only really for signaling and sensors and things like that, and then actually burn hydrocarbons, because when you actually master the art of burning, hydrocarbons is exceptionally clean, and everything it produces is essentially just byproducts for the plants, kind of like people. When we stop moving and it's time for us to return back to the earth, we become food for plants. So that's sort of my take on it, is why are we trying to reinvent the wheel when we've got some of the greatest engineers on the planet standing right in front of us.
Yeah, gotcha. Another question that comes to mind. I've not been, there's obviously, we can only leave the homestead a couple times a year, really, so we got to be very particular about when we go and where we go. But I've heard about that energy conference was it Montana or Idaho? Yeah. Could you talk a little bit about your experiences there, some of the people you met, some of the maybe a cool thing that you came across while you were there?
Yeah, well, we've met a lot of cool people doing a lot of cool things. We Sky can tell you more about some of the work that we've done with some of the people. I can personally speak for Aaron Murakami, one of the guys that runs the STC conference, and his work with the plasma-based ignition system for just your standard automobiles. He invented a way that basically essentially what it does is, instead of having a spark plug, it turns the gap between the plug into pure plasma, which allows for a significantly stronger spark inside your engine, which allows for more efficient burning. We built one of his systems, and I kind of got it to work. It kind of didn't work when we stuck it in the engine. Not entirely sure why. We even talked to Aaron about it. We also met our friend John. He's up earlier. And when we were up there, he was like, oh, y'all are from, Missouri? And we were just like, yeah. And I don't know, he came out, helped us out in the shop for a while. And, he's been, frankly, one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. As far as the rest, I'll just let Sky handle that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I need to look into Aaron's work a lot more. He's been on the Higher Side Chats a couple times, kind of distilling down his projects, and I need to spend a lot more time on going through those videos. And I think a lot of them are available on YouTube. You can get some of them from. I'll put a link in the show notes. I remember it off the top of my head, but I've been there numerous times. But yeah, Sky, what are your thoughts on that conference? Can you share any experiences or results?
Yeah, I've been to the ESTC several times. I've been to Tesla Tech once. They're interesting conferences. You have to really look between the lines to find something that's contextually useful, but it's definitely there. There's a lot of very not just interesting, but useful, applicable technologies that do need to be proliferated and do deserve to be used more frequently to improve the life and conditions of humanity. I also like to touch on a little bit about energy density, something that Brady was talking about with divine nature. So our best lithium-ion batteries, the best ones that we can get, are anywhere from 0.8 to maybe 1.2 megajoules per kilogram. They average out at about just shy of 1 megajoule per kilogram in practice, depending on how well tuned the cells are. So best lithium-ion batteries on the planet, 1 megajoule per kilogram. Okay. A ham sandwich has 20 megajoules per kilogram and diesel is 38. So to match the energy density of diesel, our best batteries would have to increase their energy density by 3,800% to match, which is not going to happen. And so really, if we can increase the efficiency of the heat engine substantially, it will be cheaper to produce your own power than buy from the grid, which will allow people to purchase directly from the drillers and the miners, cutting out the grid and the refineries as middlemen entirely. It'll make power portable, reliable, long-lasting, so now you can go anywhere. You don't have to worry about grid tie. To heck with the grid. You could buy a piece of property or land anywhere, build a cabin, and get dozens of kilowatts, DC, AC, three-phase, whatever you want, right there on tap. Farmers will be able to make their own nitrogen-based fertilizers and nitric acid using Birkeland reactors. Physicians can make their own medical isotopes using cyclotrons in their basement. Welders, machinists, etc. can all locally recycle their own metals and produce their own castings, ferrous and non-ferrous, like we did before the 1960s. It really unravels a whole new paradigm for energy and economics and upward mobility.
Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, that is okay. No, I think you've shared similar things on podcasts before, so it's not necessarily it's not. Yeah.
I have, but I probably should stop saying that.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, there you guys. You might be the last time you hear it here on the PAZNIA Radio Network. Live at VonuFest. It is live, so you can't take it back. At least we don't know how to do that yet. But anyway, John, if you want to come on over, man. But before the demo, so you've also got some you've also done some interesting things. Last year, you basically built us a monoatomics harvester. You've done a lot of cool tests with like a magnetic motor, which was at PAZNIA here for a time, but we couldn't get it working, and you tried to get it working. But yeah, could you share some of your experiences or anything like that?
Sure. Yeah, like these guys said, I met them at the ESTC conference in 2021. I mainly went there to see the Bedini motor tech, and this guy Sky came up to me and he's like, "Hey, what do you know about the internal combustion engine?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm here for the over unity." He's like, "Well, yeah, Bedini motors are great, but the energy density, like for the weight, for the size, the internal combustion engine can be a lot more powerful." Oh, and one thing I don't think that was mentioned is those Bedini motors require a little circuit board. In the event of like an EMP, the Bourke engine's analog. Well, this, circuit board could be fried in the event of an EMP for an over unity Bedini motor. And yeah, I've got like a little small one, like a little backpack one. The problem was I didn't know how to get it started. Got it from like r-charge.net with Rick Frederick was a pupil of Bedini. Like, it's a controversial relationship. Don't want to get into that, but I just kept passing it around, and this circuit board on this motor wasn't designed with packing it up many times, and this capacitor kept getting bent. So I went up to Michigan, saw a friend who recommended it to me, and the solution to it was quite simple. Alligator clamps on a car battery. For the input, it needs power to run. Alligator clamps on an output battery that it charges. Spin it. That is it. I wasted hours trying to figure that out, but by the time I got that working, it worked for a minute, had goosebumps, and then the capacitor shook itself off. Both terminals, both all the way in, and they don't make that capacitor anymore. So, Yeah, but yeah, I mean, all things considered, I mean, I'd say I'd rather have the Bourke engine for any off-grid event. So you mentioned could run coal slurry.
With fuel reformations, it will be able to. With fuel reformation technology, which we plan on experimenting with and integrating in the far-flung future, yes.
Well, with knowing Sky and Brady, it's been amazing knowing both of those guys. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for having me here.
Oh yeah, certainly. Now, if you want to come over on this side, I'll have to get a little light. But we're gonna do a little live demo here. I mean, I got this. This might be okay. This might be okay. I just gotta get the readjust, guys. One moment here, stream. Okay. We'll see. There we go. That's a little better. A little bit of light. Awesome. Thank you. Pull this thing off. Bear with us, folks. Is there a switch on the side? Yeah. Okay, so this thing, yeah, not a great. Let's set down the microphone here, guys. One moment.
You want me to look this up so we can get this on camera?
Sure. So yeah, obviously it's dark, and we weren't. I mean, we could have been prepared for a little bit, but basically this thing sends electric pulses through your body, and from some people that experienced it here, they've had spots that have been aggravated for some time, and it basically finds it and just eliminates the blockage, and it sends you lose control of your body essentially. It just it takes over.
If I really forced, I could control, but most of this motion's involuntary. You also put it around your head. Yeah, slight pulses every about 3-4 seconds.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't tell you too much about it, beyond it exactly what it is and all. But yeah, I guess it's helped some pretty sick people. So yeah, it's great stuff. Thank you for demoing that, John. And yep, that will work. Cool. Let's see if there are any other questions here for Brady, Sky, or John. I'll check some chats, but we'll probably close this out a little quicker. Get on. This is pretty much the last night of VonuFest, so people probably start rolling out tomorrow afternoon. So we'll get this closed out a little earlier. But I don't see any questions or comments. See if I have anything else that I wanted to inquire about. Yeah, I guess nothing really off the top of my head. Anything else that we didn't cover that you guys feel is it's burning into your heart? You want to get out to the people?
No, not really. I can only speak for myself, but I've said everything that I feel comfortable with saying over the internet and then some.
Yes, totally understood. What about you, John? Any closing thoughts for the listeners?
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you look at social media, look at the news, I mean, looks like there's a lot of stuff going on that's negative, but I've got an opposite viewpoint. I think the future is going to be very bright.
Yeah, no, Sky pretty much says it for us all. I don't know. I sort of have his back like I've had for the past 5, 6, 7 years, however long I've known him. And yeah, I mean, check out VonuFest. It's been great. It's relaxing. I love it, and I appreciate everything. You're back to you, Ray.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you, Brady, for coming on. Thank you, Sky, for coming on and coming out. It's been amazing having you and John, as always. Our first executive stakeholder here at PAZNIA. It's been great having you. I'll go ahead and close out the stream here. But yeah, we're coming to the end of today's Self-Liberation Saturday transmission. We started at 3, and it's a little earlier ending. But again, we're going to get back to physical space and time here. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this little live show from VonuFest6 here at the Free Republic. Now, if you want to get vetted for next year, reach out. My email is coordinator@PAZNIA.com. Again, coordinator at PAZNIA.com. And there are other events before that, like we have a spring gathering. So if you get vetted quick, you come out to one of our earlier gatherings too, potentially. But again, coordinator at PAZNIA.com. And also please consider heading over to PAZNIA.com/shop and placing an order for one-of-a-kind merch or making a one-time Bitcoin, Monero, or fiat donation. I will note I only have extra large and 2XL size shirts for now until every order. You can also visit xmrchat.com/PAZNIA Radio and leave us a message to read on the show if you like here on the PAZNIA Radio Network. And greatly appreciate all of you for tuning in. And for those here in physical space and time, thank you for being here. And let's go have a damn good evening. Sending liberation from Veritas. But for the digital audience, we'll close out with Bill Cooper Metal, followed by Carnet by Void Stares Back, also known as Joey Phipps of Library of the Untold. So we'll close out there, guys. Cheers.